sponsored by Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated of Southern Maryland.
As Alpha men, it is our pursuit of benefiting the community, doing work and service in the community. And so one of those key programs that we have is go to high school, go to college. And that is close to my heart because I know education is really the key to everything.
Yeah, I would like to echo that sentiment that our whole basis is to give back to the community, to serve our community. And the best way to serve your community is make sure that those coming behind you are, I want to say, equipped, and they're given the chances and I want to say the chances and the opportunity to, let's say, excel and raise themselves up so that they then can give back to the next generation. It's kind of like why you got two hands, one to help yourself and the other one to pull others up.
Well, the Alpha Foundation in Southern Maryland, we run this program, Alpha Scholars, because we understand that a lot of the kids in our community don't have mentors, or even if they do have mentors, just need a little push, right? So there are issues, especially in the black community, right? We have conflict resolution is something that we kind of struggle with, right? I had to prove myself to be a certain kind of way. So part of our program is just tell kids, right, it's okay to be you, right? And just introduce them to the different types of things that are out there in the world, different opportunities, different pathways, and then also just let them know that, right, there are members of the community that are invested in your success. Right, so that's part of why we do what we do.
I would also say that our commitment is one that is resolute. We are committed to the community. We're committed to the young people in the community, especially the males. We know that oftentimes males may not have older males to help them along the way, to be there, and that's why we have our mentoring program. We really care about the youth, and we do this on a monthly basis, beginning with the school year. And so we go all the way to the end of the school year. And so the Alpha Foundation putting on this college tour, it's just a blessing. It's a blessing for us to be able to be there to support them, but it's certainly also opportunity for them to be exposed to the colleges that they may be considering, or they may not even have any idea about what college life is. And so when they go to these college campuses, they are being spoken to by other college students who are there and who can share with them on a one-to-one basis.
And also one of our pillars is the better making of men. And to make a better man, like, they have to be equipped with I want to say things like when we say college, it's kind of like it's scholarship, but it's kind of like a far-fetched idea for some of them because they're young. And if they don't see immediately, like in a microwave way of in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm gonna have enough money to make it through college, I can't go to college right now. And they're gonna push it to the side. They're gonna downplay. They're not gonna seize the opportunities. Meanwhile, they're also being given a definition of what men. Meanwhile, they're also being given a definition of what manhood should be by people outside of their own community, people that look like them. So this is a way of us kind of guiding them, and like we said before, they're hearing it from people that have been there. It's different. It's different hearing it from a man than it is from a mom. A mom, like I said, they can tell them what they consider ideal and what being a man is. That's the perfect world. We can tell them, like, from having went through the same struggles that they've gone through, that they too can make it. It just hits different when a mentor looks like you.
I mean, for me, it's kind of a personal thing. My story was probably different than almost, it's unique. And I went to school, I went to college, I got kicked out of college after my first year. I had to go appeal, get back into school. But in that, right, I had to understand that, right. Well, do you want to be here, right? If you're going to be here, you had to change some things that you can't. Some of the behaviors, some of the practices that you came into the school with. And so, that was the thing, right? But I didn't have, not that I didn't have anybody. I was kind of one of those things. Yeah, my dad told me this is what you need to do. But just like most kids, I thought my dad was crazy. He just don't know. That old man, that ain't how stuff is. So, some people learn when you tell them. Some people learn when they get burned. Unfortunately, I was one of those guys that learned when they got burned. So, that was my story. To try to help someone else not have to go through that, and I understand, right? I might not be able to reach all of them, but if I can, 2 or 3 of them, and say, hey, look, when you come in here, you got to take it serious from the start, right? It's a different level of freedom that you have when you go to college. Your mom's not gonna come in the room and knock on your door and say it's time to go to class, or right? It's just something that you have to do for yourself. You have to want it for yourself. And part of our program is also saying, right, hey, college may not be for you. Right, there are other avenues that can take. You got the military. You have the military. You have trades. You have a lot. There are different avenues. College may not be the one, but if you can, this is a great one to go to learn about yourself, to learn about others, right? And the part of the problems that we have, going on with society is that there's so many people who haven't taken the time to learn about people outside of their very, very local community, right? So.
Yeah, well, I think that is a great point about college is not for everyone, and maybe it's a great thing for everyone, but it may not be for everyone at a certain time in their life. But all education is good because it is going to propel you forward. And that's one of the great things and part of our program that we've done, when we've had our career day, when we took young people and exposed them to the trades, HVAC and welding and things of that nature, so that they can see that there are other tracks and where you can actually make a good living for yourself, for your family, as well as consider expanding your education opportunities along the way. And so, even in my situation, I started college, but I ran into financial difficulties, and I went from one school to the next school, and I had a situation where I thought things were prepared for me when I had to go to the other school, and found out nothing was done. They didn't even know who I was, but there was some people along the way who were there to help me, assist me. So I met a recruiter at the school, and he stood in and became like a big brother to me, and then was able to guide me to what I needed to do. And even though I ended up starting the school maybe a month and a half, 2 months in, I knew that, hey, in order to stay, I had to catch up. And so I was able to catch up, and ultimately I made the dean's list. So, because I had support, some people stepped up and stood in the gap for me.
Well, that was the thing, because your mentality changed. You understood what it couldn't keep going down that road. Like, so now I have to find out what is it going to take to make me. What is it going to take to get to that level, right? So like I said, I got kicked out, so I knew I had to change. For me, with 2 things. Well, I didn't graduate from A&T, but I did. I got back into school, and from the time I got back in to the time that I left, 4.0 every semester. I was able to join Alpha Phi Alpha while I was in undergrad, but I had my wife girlfriend got pregnant, so, and it was just part of being a man, right? So it was, well, what do you do now? Well, we're gonna be responsible for this kid that we making, go get a job, right? And that's kind of part of the program that we have, right? It's not just, everything's not going to just be laid out and easy for you. Sometimes you're going to have to make sacrifices, right? So yeah, I wanted to finish school. I wanted definitely to finish at A&T, but I had to make a sacrifice. I had to leave Greensboro, go back to DC, get a job, right? So, and finally I was able to get my degree 24 years later, but I was still because of that experience of being in college, understanding how I learned, right? I didn't know how I learned until I actually got into college. I had to fail. Once I failed, what am I doing wrong? So now I know what it takes for me to learn. How do I grasp things, and how does that how what I need to do to make that happen, right? For me, I had to go to the library every day. It was a habit I had to create. I had to go to the library every day for 2 hours. I don't care if I ain't had nothing to do for 2 hours. I was going to the library. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna grab one of your books, and you're just gonna review what you had to do, in a couple of the classes. But every day, Monday through Friday, I had to go to the library for 2 hours. So and what helped me was also I told my friends, I had a good group of friends. I say, listen, guys, I can't do what I was doing, last year. I'm back in here, things have changed. And instead of them saying, oh, you corny, they were like, hey, we're going to go with you. So we kind of made it a thing, hey, we're going to go to the library, we're going to go to the caf, we're going to eat, let's head up to the library. And it started off, it was just three of us. By the middle of the semester, it was about 7, 8 of us. We hit the library, and then it got to be fun. We used to call it, and for A&T, our library is Bluford. We could call it Club Bluford. We go to the library. We study. A couple people had classes together. If you knew something I didn't, hey, I'm struggling with this. All right, this is how you do this, right? And so it was a good thing for all of us, right? And so a lot of them were able to graduate straight in their 4 years, and partly because we had that community that we built at A&T, right, together. So I mean that's kind of what we kind of hope to do with Alpha Scholars, right? We have kids. A lot of these kids are coming in an Alpha Scholars program in the 8th grade, and we're gonna take these kids all the way through high school, and they're gonna be together, right? They're gonna come to the college tour with us. They're gonna have these bonding moments, right? Because I'm pretty sure some of them right now running in the pool. We got an 8th grader and an 11th grader that would have never even communicated with each other. But right now they talking about the different things and the different people they know. So that it's just one of those opportunities that don't come along a lot, right? So I think that's that's the kind of thing that we want to do with this. So we want to, in addition to introducing them to college, we want to introduce them to themselves. The teenage years is when you really find out who you are, and so letting them go through things and kind of give them that space, because when you're at home, you got your parents. Nah, you can't go outside right now, or you can't go to that place. Well, you get a little bit of freedom, right? So you're in the hotel. Their parents not with them. We got chaperones, but also, right, we'll let you get a couple of hours to kind of just talk amongst each other.
For me, even at a young age, the academics was surprisingly easy for me. I mean, like, I'm seriously reading, retaining large amounts of information. That was super simple, super easy, but I didn't have anybody that was encouraging me. I had a teacher here and there that would be like, oh, that's good, but then their attention would be focused on somebody else. And generally, I was in schools where the teachers didn't look like me, and the majority of the kids didn't look like me. So it was kind of like one of those challenge things. And then as I progressed, I think it was like the 5th grade was like one of those culminating moments in South Carolina. I had a black teacher, male teacher, Mr. Holmes, like the first one, and he's the one that kind of challenged me, So, and I didn't understand it was mentorship at the time. I'm just like, oh, okay, he thinks he's smarter than me, But then we had a talk one day, and it was kind of like, what do you want to do? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I want to do? You're in all these little gifted programs, but what do you want to do? And I was like sitting there, and he goes, but I don't want you to figure it out right now. I just want it in the back of your mind. Kind of like, what do you want to do? And that kind of gave me direction, And at the time, I focused more on the language arts, and started picking up a language, outside language on my own, And then from there, because my parents were military, we moved to another school where nobody looked like me, and nobody poured into me. Again, there'll be a teacher over here that oh, you're doing good, but I'd see how they gave that attention to other students that look like them. And little Jimmy that sits next to me is doing all the wrong things, but she's, giving him all the attention and the words of affirmation and all the, the good things. And meanwhile, I'm doing the right stuff, and I'm getting none of that. All right, yeah. So to recap, like I said, when I was in school, my peers who didn't look like me were always getting mentorship, and I was trying to figure out, you know, what I needed to do, and then it turned into resentment, kind of like for school in a little bit. Now, meanwhile, my parents were like, "You better do good in school," but inside, I was like, I kind of like didn't put as much effort as I should have been. And these are, like I said, in the formative years. So then, as I progressed to high school, again, what good does it be? What good is it when you're the smartest kid and you're in AP classes? You got to keep proving it when your peers don't have to prove it. Lack of mentorship outside, because again, your parents are your parents. You know, they're gonna love you no matter what you do. But there's that mentorship that you needed from people again that kind of looked like you, that would pour into you, because it's just, again, it's different because they're a reflection of who you could be. And then in high school, by the time I got, you know, to those ages where I needed mentors, there were fewer and fewer. And I literally had an English teacher that actually was taking me to school because we moved to the other side of town in my final year of high school. And for continuity, she was picking me up in the morning. But again, nobody else was supporting me, so I didn't really take advantage of that either. And then I ended up coming in the military, forewent scholarships and all kind of things because of a lack of mentorship. And, you know, and these are things I found out the hard way along the way. You know, fortunately, I did a lot of self-reflection as a kid because I couldn't stay still, so I was always kind of put somewhere. But, you know, I think, again, had I had a group of men like this, you know, telling me these things, just whispering in my ear that, you know, you can be, then I would have actually went directly into college, because the scholarship they were dangling in front of me meant nothing to me. And then nobody was really telling me to apply for colleges because they were pushing me towards trades and all that, because that's down in South Carolina, that's what black men need to do, get out, get you a job. You know, so yeah.
Like for me, it's kind of like the exact opposite. I grew up in the DMV, so every teacher I had was black. I've never not had a black teacher growing up. From kindergarten to 8th grade, black principal, black male principal. Right. So when you hear these, like, when you first time, I've never not had a black teacher. I don't know what you're talking about. And that's been experienced for a lot of people in my peer group that grew up in that area, right? So we're a little bit different, but kind of the same thing. So where you say, well, I didn't have nobody push me. I had tons of people to push me, but just so happened also, I think I got in 9th grade and the girl gave me her phone number and I forgot I was smart. So like, what I needed a group like this for me to kind of help keep me on track, right? So like, right, we'd had those meetings and kind of, right, we had those conversations, and it'd help me kind of say, all right, they get a little bit of attention, but also, right, let's be careful. Let's still keep the main thing, right? With this, you have a goal. Let's go here, right? So can't let your stuff slip. Can't let you got to make sure that you're focusing on the things that are a priority for you, right? Did you growing up, I had all these things. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. Like I said, all these girls started paying me attention. Hey, I just want to go where they go. Wherever they go, that's where I want to be at. So like I said, so for me, a group like this would have helped me stay on track. And so I think you'll have people who don't have parents. You have people who have parents who never had someone that looked like them kind of give them direction. You had some people always, but a group, especially our Alpha Scholar program, where you got a group of males from all kinds of walks of life, right? We come from totally different paths, just in us, but right, we should be able to kind of help in that community for the guys, for those young men under us, right, who are having this struggles with some of the, it's still the same struggles your dad had.
Yeah.
They still having right now, right? So we want to help them kind of matriculate through those troubles, right? Just so maybe it's something that you had in your life that none of the men in my life that were helping me had. So you can kind of see that in somebody else and give him that experience. And you had something and you can give him that, but all together, when they have all that experience from all of us, right? So we should be able to hit every angle, right?
Yeah, the whole gamut. Yeah. The truth be told, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons I actually looked at this organization to join is because of this very program. Because I had my son in this program, and then I saw I saw that mentorship. I saw how they were bringing in professionals. They were bringing in people. I'm sorry, they were bringing in people that were white collar professionals. You had blue collar professionals, and they weren't talking at them. They were actually talking to them. And as a father, there ain't nothing that they said that I didn't already say, but it's a group of men that are not their parents telling them this, and it's like bars. Oh, Jules, this, yeah, and I'm like, I've literally told you this whole thing, but I was sitting in the back because I didn't know the brothers in the organization. So again, this is my child, so I'm kind of looking at them like, all right, let me make sure that they're actually about mentoring, and true to their word, they were about mentoring. So then it was like, okay, it made me more actually interested in the organization because again, I'm not younger, so I'm older, so I'm more discerning about things like this, and like I told my son, I said the biggest thing is I knew how to be in the military, I knew how to be out in the streets, and I knew how to be a blue collar worker because that's where the kind of like to be a man, that's what you need to just go out and get a job and come home take it. Nobody was talking about higher education. So again, and as smart as I was, because remember, you know more about the world before you're 18 until you get older. So as smart as I was, what do I really need college for? Right. I can go get these jobs here and take care of my family and all that. Meanwhile, the world's changing around me, and people want you to have degrees. But again, nobody's kind of pushing that to me. They're just like, you can get a job at the local gas station. You can go work over here at Kmart or Macy's and maybe become a manager, or you can go in the military. That's not, what they're telling my peers again. Oh, you can go to college, you can go be a doctor or a lawyer. Well, okay, how many black doctors and lawyers did I know? None. The only reason you need a lawyer is you committed a crime, you're trying to get out of it. The only reason I need a doctor is I fell out of a tree and hurt something. I wasn't really looking at those as professions. Because the Cosby Show wasn't out when I was a little kid, so I wasn't seeing that. And meanwhile, I'd see a black doctor, but I had no access to him, But everybody in between him I had access to, so that's where my plateau was. Now again, I'm reading everything under the sun, but somehow I internalize that that's not for me. And that's the kind of thing with this organization, we're telling these kids, no, you can do it, and here's the pathways to it. So they understand that there's a possibility, which gives them that kernel of I can do this, versus everybody around me, because again, I'm in all these predominantly schools, and they're telling me where Thomas can kind of stop at. Maybe one day you can get this job.
But I think that's important too. Go ahead.
Well, and I think our lives are different, but just as was said, we all have something to share because our experiences are different. So even like in my experience, my father was a surgeon, and so I was in line to learn because oftentimes we learn from our parents. But had a major problem. My parents ended up getting divorced, and so I moved. I moved from Chicago, where the South Side of Chicago is one of the largest areas for African Americans living, and in that day and time, a lot of things were happening that were kind of driving the African American experience in the United States. And so I had a lot of opportunity to experience a lot of things when I was there. But then I came and moved to the Washington, D.C. area, which at that time, we're talking about, the 70s, mid to late 70s, things were a bit different. And, it was so much different because, like, in even my high school, when we're talking about, high school, I was one of, like, maybe a handful of African Americans to graduate in my high school. That's how many of it was. And so when I graduated, my mother got kind of angry because at the school, I was looking at different schools, and I was looking at Syracuse, but one of the advisors was trying to advise against me going to Syracuse. And my mom was like, well, what are you talking about? If you got in and, going there, but, ultimately there was some financial issues and I couldn't go. And some of the things that I wish I had known, if you don't have that opportunity to have certain individuals in your life to direct you, then you don't know how to finesse the college system for financial resources. And because I didn't have that, I made some other choices, which, you know, I was able to overcome to a degree, but I wasn't able to finish. But the beauty of everything is in life, just as you were mentioning, you make these decisions. You know, life is like waves, and so sometimes you're in the high, and sometimes you go to the low. But the ultimate thing is you got to just stay afloat.
A lot about education.
Exactly.
But the beautiful thing about our program is that it's not just an education.
No.
Our goal is to say, hey, I want to take this young man and I want to make him a productive member of society. I want
Correct.
to make sure that this young man can go out in the world. He's going to be community focused. He's going to be community focused. He's going to be He's going to be active. And he's going to be giving back, right, to his community, just like he sees someone giving back to him, right? That's the idea, right? So when it comes time for an election, he understands what the issues are. He understands how to decipher which one of these politicians is feeding him a lot of fluff. Which one of these politicians is actually going to do something for the people that he supports and the people, right? I think that's the bigger ideal with the Alpha Scholars program is that yes, we love scholarship. We want everybody to be educated and knowledgeable and everything, but we also want to deal with the whole man, right? We want you to be educated. We want you to be able to navigate. What they say, you can talk with kings and keep it right. So you want to be able to move along with any crowd, but also be your own man, right? I don't want you to be a follower. I need you to be a leader, right? I need you to lead your community because you see a lot in our communities, right? Some of them have a lack of leadership, and it's just a lot of people going along with the flow. I need you to step up. If you see a hole, I need you to go fill it, right? If you see young men outside, and hey guys, man, hey y'all ain't. Man, what y'all hanging out in front of the store today on the phone? Like let's talk to each other, right? Everything don't have to be aggressive. I don't have to be a preacher. I don't have to preach to you every time. I used to be you. Oh, and I'm not trying to tell you to be me, but I know if you stay right here, I know what's gonna happen to you, and I don't want that to happen to you. So right, we just want everybody to kind of just be productive, be getting out in the society, and right, we're communal people. I feel like way, right. We've never been about individualism. We always everybody like. That's why we had tribes in Africa, right? Because we are a tribal people. We wanted to help each other, right? We started the bartering system. We really started democracy, but that's a whole nother story.
I think the program also, as a young person, because I played basketball, and I think that there is a certain value to discipline. There's a certain value to discipline, and so even though discipline can be applied in a certain way that is so beneficial because it's consistency. From developing SMART goals. For instance, this season of the Alpha Scholars, we started out with SMART goals. And basically the idea there is if you don't have a plan or goal, what are you planning for? If you want to have a 2.5 or a 3.0 or 3.5 or a 4.0, how are you going to get there? So we were sharing the SMART goals with the students. And so we initiated the SMART goals, but we didn't just drop it. We continued it so that as we got into the new year, we revisited the SMART goals to see, you have to give yourself an assessment. Where are you with your SMART goal? Are you achieving the way you have planned? And if you didn't, or if you have not, well, guess what? We need to readjust now because the school year is coming, will shortly coming to a close. And so if you want to reach that target, whatever that target is, you need to have an assessment. And so we brought those students together and paired them up so that they can minister, if you will, to each other and see where you are. So, having one to say, you know what, I'm really good in math. Another one say, well, I'm great in science. or social studies. Well, if you didn't raise your hand because you're not very good in social studies, but you're good in math, and vice versa, well, you pair them up and say, you know what, I'm great in social studies, but I'm not good in math, but maybe working with you, you can help me become better in math, and then I can use some of your insights on becoming better in social studies. And so we work with the youth that way, to have them engage with one another. And then we teach them great tools and ways to overcome fears, like public speaking, for instance. In our sessions, we encourage them to talk, speak up. We want to hear you. Stand up, introduce yourself. Who are you? Right? And that carries into other areas. Today was very interesting when we went to, or yesterday, we went to pick up some food at a fast food restaurant. And, we had all the young people come in. We had 24 of them. And so they came in, and it was an observation that I had. And so we had two lines. They went through, they ordered, they were articulate, they ordered, and then they just stepped to the side. There was no commotion. They were very controlled. They behaved, very appropriately. And I noticed some of the other customers, some senior customers, who were observing them. And then as we finished paying for them, and I was walking off, I looked at some of them, and they were smiling in, respect. Like they were looking and like, they were like very appreciative, or just acknowledging that these are some young people who are, who are doing things the right way, and who are carrying themselves in a very high level. And that's to me, that was kind of validation that, because of what we're doing with them and how they conduct themselves in public, they're not the ones who are making all kind of commotions, saying inappropriate things. They're conducting themselves in a very professional and profoundly respectful manner. Others see that and recognize that.
On the flip side of that same incident is some of these kids are, like when they get together, they're still at that young age where they're always worrying about how the world perceives them, and sometimes that causes them to act out. But we have these discussions with them. Hey, we know how you're raised. You're with us. We're men, so we're giving you an example of how men don't act, out in public. And so when we're reinforcing that, like, hey, when you're speaking to people, look them in the face, speak confidently. They get to apply that because they're doing it with us. And again, we're men, showing them this is how you interact. You don't have to be loud, brash, and disrespectful to get your point across. You don't have to be loud, brash, and disrespectful for me to respect you as a man, because it's going to be quite the opposite. And a lot of things that as mentors, we're reinforcing things that they're being told in their household. Things that in the black community you're being told, but when you get out amongst other people, they don't expect it from you. So, and they don't really, they don't accept it from you. So when you're being respectful, some of them are looking for an attitude, and they're pressing to see if you have it in you. That's not what we do amongst ourselves. If I'm looking at you and you look like me, I expect you to know how to carry yourself in public. So when I'm addressing you, I address you, as if that's how you move. People that don't look at them sometimes, when they're talking to them with a little bit of attitude, a little bit of aggression, and that's how they're going to respond in kind. We're teaching them, like, no, you don't have to, just because they're doing it, you don't do it. You understand what they're doing. We understand what they're doing. You still kill them with kindness. And by kindness, I'm not saying be subservient to them, because we teach them also. That's not what we're telling you. But we're just telling you how to move with a modicum of decorum. Because that's how you move as an adult in a respectful and in a professional environment. And I think one of the biggest things with this mentorship program too, what we all try to get across to them is, do you want to be the sheep or the shepherd? Because the world is telling you to lower yourself, not be as brash, not be as intelligent. The world is telling you don't shine. Your parents are telling you to shine, but the world around you is telling you no, don't shine. So you end up playing the background. Because again, as wild as I was and rambunctious, That's what I was always hearing from people that look at me. No, no, no. Here's how you should act. Oh, okay. Then why is he not acting like that? And you're still giving him, you know, that look. You're still helping him achieve his, you know, his goals. You're telling him, hey, things like tuition assistance. I didn't know what that was. I knew what it was in theory. I'm thinking when I go to college, I need to have all my money, and then I can go to college. I'm not being told these by the counselors. The same school counselors that are handing me my certificate of having the highest, you know, GPA, or having the highest on this localized test, or having the highest on this common skills test. You're giving me a certificate, but I'm not the one you're telling to go to college. You know, I'm in AP classes. I'm not being told that these are college credit classes. I'm just making an A in the class, and I'm competing with another guy in the class that kind of looks like me, but neither one of us are being told that you're in South Carolina, you can get a scholarship to South Carolina State. You can get a scholarship to USC or Benedict College or out of state. What I'm being told is, if you're not on the football team or the basketball team, you're not getting a scholarship. Now, I knew a little bit better, but again, you're hearing this and you are internalizing it, whether you know it. And it took me a minute to realize, like, why didn't I go do these things? Because some of the mentors that I had, like, were women. No knock on them. I mean, they're the ones that propped me up. But I didn't see men telling me this. You know, so it's kind of like, well, this is not how men move. You know, my dad's telling me how to be a man, take care of my family, take care of my business, but like, mentors around you are telling you that men are multifaceted. You know, there's more to being a man than just what your dad is doing. You know, what my dad was doing was honorable, and he was doing the right thing. But again, he was in the military, so he's trying to make rank in the military. He's teaching me how to do that. But again, he can't tell me that graphic art is actually a lucrative thing. I was into computers when computers were new, especially, like you said, coming out of the 70s and the 80s. Computers were new. Nobody pushed me towards that as a job. I learned stuff on my own, but I didn't know that could be a career because I wasn't being told that. One of my friends went to go on and work for IBM. Went to college, went to work for IBM. We both were in the same classes. Me and him would both sneak off to the library and play with computers. The school counselor told me, if you like computers, you can probably go to college because this is a new burgeoning field. What they told me was, just do this and you'll graduate. So graduation diploma was my again, the niveau that I'm supposed to stop at. So by being part of this program, I get to actually tell kids, like, look, when we say the sky is the limit, the sky is the limit, and these are things that open up. And here's 50, 60 black males that are in the same kind of fields but doing different things. You can actually pick your flavor. You can pick your adventure. You know, it's Baskin Robbins in here. Don't worry about the little things that you're seeing right here. When you say you want to be an engineer, what kind of engineer? There's a million kind of engineers. What are you actually interested in? You know, one of the kids earlier today, I told him, was like, video game design. That was a waste of time. When you know, just half a generation ago. But no, it's not. There's money in it. You can go become a data engineer if you don't finish it. You can go do a whole lot of things in IT. My son is actually doing that. He started out school to go build. I want to make video games, and he found out he liked other things. And then by putting him in touch with other people that weren't me, that were actually mentors to him, he actually went on, and you know, he's over in Europe right now as a data engineer. You know, finished school and did that because he kind of was given a direction to kind of go by people outside of me. Now, it's stuff I told him, but again, this is the importance of a mentor that looks like you.
I think that's what even today's experience we saw with esports at some of the colleges that we visited, and how those programs are cutting edge programs that are being brought to life, and the young folks that we had on tour today, they got to see it. They got a great fresh experience on what is all involved with that, and because of that, I'm sure that they're going to go back. They're going to think about it. Because this whole experience has been illuminating. You know, when you have, they were able to speak to the undergrad program of Alpha, and they got to see young males who gave them some excellent advice on what it means to overcome adversity, in the college setting. Some who were, they got caught up in some activity which was diverting them from achieving the grades and things that they had started. But all of them came back because they knew what the investment, the impact of the investment was on their families, the financial investment. And so it caused them to rethink their behavior and say, you know what, I came here, I had a basketball scholarship. I almost lost it because I got caught up with too much partying or and all of those kind of things. But, I had the opportunity to turn it around. And so I did. And so because of that, I'm still here and I'm actually thriving in the college experience. I'm about to graduate. I'm a senior now. And so as I reflect on how things went, I'm going to encourage you, because when I was a freshman incoming, or even when I was in a junior in high school, I really didn't realize the impact of what my GPA was going to be. And this was consistent across the various colleges that we went today. Your GPA. And they all told them, get your GPA up and maintain it. Work hard in your junior year, because your junior year is so critical in leading into college, because the focal point a lot is your junior year. So hopefully, and we had a lot of juniors as part of our tour. That was one of the largest groups. So I think that's really inspiring them. We heard in comments as we were leaving, of the various experiences they had, how this was all impacting them. And so it's helpful for us to see this and review this, because for us, the consistency is we're going to keep doing these college tours for as many young people who come through. Like we have the 8th graders, we got 9th graders, 10th. So we're going to continue this because we want to see the fruit of all of our commitment to them as they go through college, and then they come out. Some of them, they're speaking of masters, especially some of the college students. They say, yeah, I'm going to go get my master's degree. And so as they do that, where else are they going to go? Where are they going to head? And so as we look at this and we go back and we reflect, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 7 years from now, what happened to some of these kids who come through the program? Oh, my goodness, they're doing incredible things. They've taken advantage of all these various opportunities. Even today, one of the deans of the business school, one of the schools, was speaking about the international opportunities and sharing that with the young people. International opportunities, exchange programs where you could go to India, you could go to China, you could participate. And I was sharing with one of our young people. I said, if you participate in a program like that, that's really going to distinguish you. That's going to set you apart from everyone else, because you took that opportunity and ran with it. And so when you go to seek employment, when they look at that and say, oh, you did a internship in India, or you did an internship in some other foreign nation, by the way, we're thinking about establishing an office in that nation. But because you had that experience, we want to send you there to help open that office. So those are the kind of things that I think that they get exposed to that they'd never even considered before. They had no idea about. And so it's great for us to be able to put in that kind of effort. If I had the opportunity to talk to myself many years ago, and when I was a junior or a senior in high school, I would what was said today about focus on your GPA, work harder in your grade point average, do more things in terms of extracurricular things, participate in more of the clubs or things of that nature that were available. I was an athlete, and I put a lot of effort into becoming the best a basketball player that I could at that time. But I think if I would have placed more emphasis and participated in some other activities that were available, I think that would have been very, very beneficial, to me.
The best advice I'd give my younger self would be actually apply to college, apply to all the colleges, and don't sit smug in the fact that you are smarter than the guy next to you, or that your grades are better than the person next to you. don't believe the hype that college doesn't matter. I'm sorry, not college. Classes don't matter. Because every class counts. We always harp back on GPA, but these are things that aren't really pushed. GPA is more like just so you can pass your senior year, pass your junior. They're not emphasizing that you need that same GPA to go into college. So focus on my GPA, apply to college. Because, again, I let some of the outside noise get in, and I simply didn't apply to colleges. I just looked at the people that said they wanted me, but looking back on it, I could have pretty much gotten to any college I wanted to. I just didn't do the paperwork.
Yeah, and I think that when you are more engaging and you engage in more activities, that's going to just help you along the way, and you won't get into kind of a rut of doing the same things over and over because you have a greater breadth of understanding. And I think the benefit of having a mentor to show you and to give you some clarity on why. Because a lot of, as a young person, a lot of it is, well, why am I doing this? Why do I need a high GPA? What's going to be the benefit of it? And so for those mentees that we have, and seeing and engaging with some of the college students are sharing, well, here's the why. The why is going to help you in financial aid. If you have a high GPA, there are going to be financial benefits that are tied to that that higher GPA. You're going to get more scholarship opportunities, which can offset any deficits in your financial situation. So, for instance, for me, had I had a higher GPA, well, then I may have had more financial benefits when I ran into that financial impact at the first institution I was at. But I didn't really know about it because I didn't have anybody who was able to share that information with me.
Yeah, my thing along that same line too is don't get tired and just don't give up. Because I love the military. It gave me all kind of opportunities and everything. But I could have always went into it later. My thing was I kind of started second guessing myself in my senior years about college. And there was no reason, because college is easy. If you do the things you're supposed to do in high school, it's the same stuff in college. It's just nobody's fully pushing you all the time. And instead of having to write a 4-page paper, you got to write an 8-page paper. But if you're good in these things and you put the time in and put the effort in, it's not hard. We always build it up to be, I guess from TV or whatever, that these are very hard things. To me, college doesn't get hard until you're in like the master's programs, till you're in those upper level programs. So I would tell myself, like, look, high school was easy and you kind of floated through. But college is easy because your study habits are going to be the same, and how you move when it comes to academia is going to be the same. So, just buckle down and go do it.